The lights dimmed for just a fraction of a second, but in that tiny pocket of darkness, something shifted, something the audience at Tokyo Dome would never forget. Tens of thousands of fans were already screaming, already emotional, already overwhelmed by the sheer presence of BTS on stage. But then came a moment that felt different. Quieter, yet somehow louder. Subtle, yet impossible to ignore. It wasn't choreography. It wasn't fireworks. It wasn't even a high note. It was a gaze. Jungkook stood there, under the stage lights, and for a brief stretch of time that felt much longer than it actually was, he didn't blink. His eyes were locked, completely, undeniably, on Park Jimin. And just like that, the internet would later explode. But let's slow down for a second, because moments like this don't just appear out of nowhere. They build. They grow. They carry history, emotion, and context that goes far beyond a few seconds of eye contact on stage. What exactly happened in that moment? Why did it feel so intense? And why are fans still talking about it, as if it revealed something deeper? As the concert began, everything felt familiar, in the best possible way. The energy, the synchronized movements, the seamless transitions between songs, it was everything fans expected from BTS. Yet there was also something subtly different in the air. Maybe it was the setting. Tokyo Dome isn't just any venue. It's iconic, almost symbolic. Performing there carries weight, especially for artists who have grown from small stages to global arenas. And BTS knows that better than anyone. From the very first song, the crowd was fully engaged, waving light sticks, chanting lyrics, and reacting to every gesture. But as the performance progressed, fans began noticing something unusual. Not in the choreography, but in the interactions between members. Especially between Jungkook and Jimin. Now, if you followed BTS for even a short time, you know that their bond is one of the group's defining features. They're not just co-workers or performers. They've built years of shared experiences, struggles, and victories together. And within that dynamic, Jungkook and Jimin have always had a particularly close connection. Playful, supportive, sometimes chaotic, but always genuine. So when Jungkook suddenly seemed to freeze mid-performance, fans immediately picked up on it. It wasn't part of the routine. It wasn't scripted. He just stopped. Not physically, his body was still in motion, still following the choreography, but his eyes told a different story. They were fixed on Jimin in a way that felt almost too intense for a casual glance. No blinking, no looking away, just a steady, focused gaze. At first, only a few fans noticed. Maybe those closer to the stage, or those who happened to be recording at the right moment. But within seconds, it spread, like a ripple through the crowd. You could almost feel the shift in attention. Is he staring at Jimin? Why isn't he looking away? Did something happen? And that's where it gets interesting. Because the human brain is wired to search for meaning, especially in moments that break the pattern. A quick glance? That's normal. A smile? Expected. But an unbroken stare in the middle of a live performance? That demands interpretation. Was Jungkook simply caught in the emotion of the song? Was he reacting to something Jimin did? Or was this one of those rare, unfiltered moments where the line between performance and reality disappears? Fans began analyzing every frame almost immediately after clips surfaced online. Some pointed out the timing. The way Jungkook's gaze aligned perfectly with a softer part of the music, as if he was completely immersed in the emotion of the moment. Others noticed Jimin's subtle reaction, a slight shift in expression, almost like he felt the weight of that stare. And then came the questions. What was Jungkook thinking in that moment? Was he aware of how intense it looked? Did Jimin notice right away, or only after the fact? These aren't just random questions. They reflect something deeper about the relationship between idols and their audience. Fans aren't just watching performances, they're interpreting them, connecting with them, and sometimes even projecting their own emotions onto them. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it's part of what makes moments like this so powerful. Because even if we never get a definitive answer about what Jungkook was thinking, the moment still resonates. It still sparks conversation. It still creates a shared experience among fans around the world. But let's take a step back and look at it from another angle. What if the intensity of that moment wasn't about anything dramatic at all? What if it was simply a reflection of focus? Performing at a venue like Tokyo Dome comes with immense pressure. The stakes are high. The expectations are even higher. In those situations, artists often enter a state of deep concentration, what some might call flow. In that state, external distractions fade away. Time feels different. Actions become almost automatic. Could Jungkook have been in that state? Could his gaze have been less about Jimin specifically and more about anchoring himself in the performance? It's a possibility worth considering. But then again, the way he looked, so still, so focused, so unblinking, it didn't feel purely technical. There was something emotional in it, something that went beyond choreography or stage presence. And that's why fans can't stop talking about it, because it felt real, not polished, not rehearsed, just real. In an industry where so much is carefully planned and executed, those unscripted moments stand out. They remind people that behind the lights, the costumes, and the performances, there are real individuals experiencing real emotions. And sometimes, those emotions slip through in the smallest ways. A glance, a pause, a moment of stillness in the middle of chaos. Of course, with moments like this, there's always a line that needs to be respected. It's easy to overanalyze, to create narratives that go beyond what actually happened. And while speculation can be fun, it's important to stay grounded. Not every intense look carries a hidden meaning. Not every interaction needs to be decoded. Sometimes, a moment is just a moment. But even then, it can still be meaningful. It can still connect people. It can still become something fans remember long after the concert ends. And that's exactly what happened here. Within hours, clips of Jungkook's stare were circulating across social media platforms. Fans edited them, slowed them down, added music, and shared their interpretations. Some called it iconic. Others described it as heart-stopping. A few even joked that Jungkook forgot how to blink. But beneath the humor and excitement, there was a consistent theme: fascination. Why did this moment feel so powerful? Why did it stand out in a concert filled with high-energy performances and unforgettable highlights? Maybe it's because it was quiet. In a setting defined by noise and movement, stillness becomes noticeable. And in that stillness, people find space to feel something different, something more personal, something that doesn't rely on spectacle. And that's where the real impact lies. Because at the end of the day, concerts aren't just about music. They're about connection. Between artists and fans, between members of a group, and even between strangers sharing the same experience. And sometimes, that connection is captured in the simplest ways. A look, a moment, a pause that says more than words ever could. So the next time you watch that clip, and let's be honest, you probably will, ask yourself this: what do you see? Is it just a performer focusing on his craft? Is it a fleeting emotional moment between two artists who have shared years of their lives together? Or is it something else entirely, something that can't be fully explained, only felt? There's no single correct answer. And maybe that's the point. Because the beauty of moments like this is that they leave room for interpretation. They invite you to engage, to think, to feel. And in doing so, they become more than just a few seconds on stage. They become a story, a memory, a shared experience that continues to evolve every time someone watches, comments, or talks about it. So, what do you think really happened in that moment? Did Jungkook truly lose himself for a second? Or was it something much simpler, and somehow even more meaningful? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is one of those moments where every perspective adds something new to the conversation. And if you enjoy deep dives into these unforgettable BTS moments, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because there's always another story waiting to be uncovered.